Both people have valid reasons to want to kill each other. Let's see who dies. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Ramblin' About Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, Nick Pearl, and we have a crazy pay-per-view coming up this weekend. We have AEW All Out. If you thought All In was good, just wait till we see All Out. There's a lot of matches that are going under the radar, but we're not going to talk about all of them. We're going to talk about one today. And this match is pure cinema. So Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. These two have been in a feud for literally 1 year, a full year tomorrow, which is going to be September 6th. They started originally September 6th, 2023, and now, September 6th, 2024, they're going into their fourth matchup ever. And in every single one of these matches, Swerve has either won or it's ended in a draw, a time limit draw. Hangman has never beaten Swerve at all, never. You've never had a feud so personal like this, where it's also been one-sided. Both people have valid reasons to want to kill each other. September 6th, 2023, Hangman Adam Page had just won the over-the-budget Battle Royal at All Out of that year. He comes out, cuts a promo with Tony Schiavone, saying how he's donating to charity. As he says that he's going to be donating his money that he won in the Battle Royal to charity, out comes the one and only Swerve Strickland, kickstarting their feud out of nowhere. Swerve, while Adam Page had won the over-the-budget Battle Royal, he was losing to Sting in the tag team match that he had. So it was Sting and Darby going up against Swerve and Christian Cage at All in London the first time. Swerve had been gone for a couple of weeks. This is his return. Before we really dig deep, these two characters parallel each other very, very much. Hangman cuts this promo just as he had gotten a contract extension with All Elite Wrestling. Who just got a contract extension with AEW now? Swerve. Who was comfortable with his spot at the top of the card? Hangman. Who's comfortable with his spot now? Swerve. Swerve's trying to get to Hangman's spot back in the day, and now Hangman is trying to take Swerve's spot. Constant fighting at the top of the mountain. They end up having a singles match at WrestleDream in Swerve's hometown of Seattle. Whose house? Swerve's house. His literal house, where he lives. Commentary says Swerve lit a fire under Hangman, which, if you look what just happened now, Hangman literally had a fire lit behind him. So these wordplay of fire being set, things being set on fire, it all comes to what we have now, which is extreme long-term booking. Who would have known that Swerve's house was going to go on fire? Well, we all do now. So after they had their first in-ring segment, Swerve and Hangman, they're not very happy with each other. Swerve wants Hangman's spot. Hangman is comfortable in his main event position, no longer the champion. Swerve says since he's comfortable, he wants to take that spot from Hangman. It is Swerve's time to prove to everybody who he really is as a wrestler. And if you look at how he's grown since this first promo to now, it really was not a good promo that him and Hangman had. Not a good segment at all. Then look at what we just had on this week's Dynamite. Oh, electric, fire. Swerve says him and Hangman are nothing alike. Both of them have taken every opportunity they've had and knocked it out of the park, especially Swerve, since he's had that world championship reign. So the stage is set. The buckshot versus kill shot. Getting the best version of Hangman up to this point against the up-and-coming Swerve, future main eventer in AEW. Hangman would bring up in promos how Swerve got rid of his fiancée and left his family behind to pursue wrestling in AEW. What did Swerve just do now? He bought a house for he bought back his childhood home for his family and future kids. So everything Swerve has done wrong in the past, he's making up for it now. WrestleDream comes. They built up this feud, not really personal. It's not a personal blood feud just yet. It's getting to that point. Hangman makes an entrance before coming to the ring in front of a broken mirror, showing how Hangman is about to shatter. The character of Hangman Adam Page, cowboy shiznit that we know, is about to change forever. For the first time, in their first encounter, Hangman was gonna beat Swerve. Then Nana gets involved. Hangman goes to pin Swerve, but Nana grabs Swerve's foot, puts it on the bottom rope. Swerve hits Hangman with Nana's crown and pins him right in the middle of that ring. Swerve can now say that he's beaten a former AEW World Champion. Huge for Swerve's career, 100%. He was not a made man, though, at this night. They're going to have to do another match. And by God, they did. In a post-match promo backstage, Hangman says that you don't just take a spot, you have to earn it. In Swerve's mind, he's taken Hangman's spot at this point. Hangman says, no, he did not earn the spot like I did. I worked my butt off to get to where I am. You, what did you do? You cheated in a match, and then you beat me. You did not beat me fair and square. So coming out of this match, they're both pissed at each other. Swerve versus Bryan in a TNT Championship #1 contenders match. Winner goes on to verse Christian Cage on Collision. And Hangman interferes, screwing Swerve over in his first matchup with Bryan. Swerve could have beat Bryan there, and we never would have gotten this all-in moment. Later that night, the same thing happens, just the opposite side. Nana comes and tries to screw Hangman in his match against Jay White. And Hangman got rolled up by Jay White and lost his opportunity to go for the AEW World Championship. We ended up getting Jay White versus MJF instead. And a lot of these losses that Hangman takes, all by roll-up. He gets screwed over so much over the last year. Swerve lost the TNT Championship opportunity. Hangman lost the AEW World Championship opportunity. Swerve says, you screwed me over, you're going to pay for it. Swerve enters Hangman's house. This is the moment where Hangman snaps, crumples Hangman's kid's artwork that's on the fridge, goes into his baby's room, and says, it's not you that is going to pay for your actions, it's your loved ones. You owe me a debt, Hangman. And then he leaves the Nana shirt on the crib as Hangman is seething in the ring, running. The Bucks and Hangman were actually the Ring of Honor Trios champions. You forget that they won those belts, but they did. I think they won them at Grand Slam when I was there one time. Pretty cool. They lose the Ring of Honor Trios titles shortly after this, and Swerve and him brawl backstage, leading to their second match at Full Gear, which happens to be a Texas death match. So they've had all these stipulation matches, and now we're getting the lights out. I'm getting ahead of myself. The stakes instantly rose when Swerve entered the house of Hangman. Whose house? Hangman's house. Hangman says, why did Swerve go into my house? Because he's a coward. Hangman brings up how Swerve got released from WWE. Didn't say WWE, but says he got fired from his last job. You don't have it in you. You can't cut it. You're not the man that you think you are. That's why your fiance left you and why your kids don't talk to you. You ain't surround yourself with yes men. Nana's using you. He makes a living off your back. You are not a man, you are a child. And I've taught a lot of kids. You should have never come into my house. I am your judge, jury, and executioner. This in-ring segment before their Texas death match just shows the pure hatred that they had for each other at this point. And it's grown so much. So the whole feud stems from Hangman's obsession with Swerve going into his house and never getting his comeuppance for it. They have a brutal match, lots of blood. And how does it end? Swerve hangs the Hangman with a steel chain around the ring post. Hangman goes down for the count of 10. The Hangman got hanged. That's poetic, don't you think? They're all instantly involved in Samoa Joe's World Championship picture. MJF loses the belt to Samoa Joe at World's End. I was in attendance. Crowd was shocked. Earlier on at World's End, Swerve was supposed to be having a matchup with Keith Lee, his former tag team partner. If Keith Lee hadn't been out with injury, we may have never gotten the rest of this feud with him and Hangman. Keith Lee was out. They put Swerve versus Dustin Rhodes on the card, which people were like, I don't know. It just showed the pure brutality that Swerve is. He beat the hell out of Dustin. I felt sorry for him. Hangman and Swerve, both undefeated in the beginning of 2024. Both want to be #1 contenders. The thing is, Swerve's focused on Joe. Hangman comes out, and while all three of them are in the ring, Hangman's going after Swerve, which pisses Joe off saying, "You're overlooking the champion, go after him? What the hell's wrong with you, son?" Hangman begins changing his story. He says holding championship gold around his waist wasn't always his top priority. He claimed he cares more than ever now about going into this three-way, trying to convince himself, even though he's clearly more focused on Swerve. Hangman says Swerve is the one thinking about Hangman. Meanwhile, Hangman's the one thinking about Swerve. Swerve said, "I don't care about you." Swerve actually complimented Hangman, gave him his flowers. He said, "Look, you've beaten Moxley. You've beaten Bryan. I give you credit. Kudos to you. You're a great worker, but you've never beaten me, and you're never going to beat me." Swerve speaking facts. Hangman doesn't want to hear it. So they end up having Hangman versus Swerve 3 on Dynamite. 30-minute time limit. You don't see many of these. They had a double turn. Hangman, who had been the babyface, started leaning more towards a tweener. Swerve. The crowd got behind him like crazy in this match. Right as the 30 minutes are about to end, Swerve goes to pin Hangman. 1, 2, bell rings. 30-minute time limit has expired. Swerve says 5 more minutes. And usually if somebody wants 5 more minutes, we're going to get 5 more minutes. But Hangman says no. You had to beat me to become the #1 contender. And you didn't do it. You will not be the world champion. For you, it's over. Commentary says, no, you guys are wrong. We got 2 #1 contenders. Hangman constantly repeating, Swerve didn't beat me. He didn't beat me. He can't be the world champion. He can't be the #1 contender. He didn't beat me. He didn't beat me. So the triple threat is set. Hangman comes out on crutches after suffering an alleged ankle injury. Will he still be in the three-way? Swerve comes out and he says the injury is fate and there's no escaping fate. And Swerve's destiny is to win the world championship. And he is on the verge of making history. Hangman didn't like that. So it turned out the Hangman was swerving Swerve. Hangman takes the crutch that he was on, beats the hell out of Swerve with it as Samoa Joe watches on. So at Revolution, we get the triple threat, the three-way dance for the world championship. And Swerve had this match won. Joe just so happened to get Hangman put in the Cohina clutch. Swerve goes to break it up, and out of pettiness, I still think this is one of the greatest finishes story-wise. Hangman taps. He didn't have to tap. He wasn't going to tap. But because he saw Swerve was going to break it up, and he didn't want Swerve to win the championship, Hangman tapped. He only cares about taking everything away from Swerve. And this match especially proves that. So Swerve comes out on the next Dynamite. He says he's done many bad things in AEW, and guesses that he's just now paying for it. Which is true. Will he always come this close to winning the world championship? But for the first time since Revolution, the crowd was actually behind Swerve. They're pissed that he didn't get it done. Full circle. Swerve is now the face, and he is hunting for that world championship. Hangman, since tapping, he's out of the picture. Swerve and Joe build up their feud. Swerve gets the Dynasty match against Joe and wins the world championship. A little while after, Hangman's back. He's got a brand new theme song. He's going up against Jeff Jarrett in the Owen Hart tournament. This is not the same Hangman that we've come to know and love. This Hangman, more vicious. New theme song, new way of carrying himself. He's still coming out of the face tunnel, because in his mind, he's done nothing wrong. Yet, in the match with Jeff Jarrett, he beats the absolute hell out of him. And something I actually caught on Twitter is that if you look at Hangman's new Titantron, there's actually a video of a house being burnt. Kind of resembles what happened to Swerve's. So Hangman ends up putting an incredible effort into this tournament. Ultimately, he does not win. Why would I go for the world title now? He knows why I'm here. I'm going to right a wrong. I will burn his world to the ground. Never saying Swerve's name. Always referring to as he, him. Never says his name. Swerve doesn't get that respect. I would give my blood. I would spill every last drop I have to take everything away from him. We had to leave our home and he never paid for it. And they, the crowd, loved him for it. And I gave them every damn thing I had and they chose him. Hangman is not used to not having the support of the crowd. And the fact that Hangman in his head still has done nothing wrong. And now the crowd is cheering for the guy that broke into his home, that's ruining his life, makes no sense to him. And I've never seen any wrestler so red in the face, cutting a promo, blood dripping from his face. I was never as driven as I am now. You can call it justice, you can call it hatred. I don't care what you call it, but it's all I have left. So we get to Hangman versus Bryan in the finals. Hangman has Bryan in the label lock. Bryan rolls him over, and guess what? Hangman gets rolled up. Hangman loses his opportunity to go after Swerve at All In. He's livid and storms out of the ring. You get Hangman versus Darby for the first time ever after this. Darby, yet again, rolls Hangman up. It's all building. Hangman's blood is boiling. You're just waiting for it to burst. And you know it All In. Hangman's going to be in that casino gauntlet. So All in London happens. Hangman doesn't win the gauntlet. So what does he do? In the main event, comes out, distracts Swerve, screwing him out of the world championship. Bryan wins. So now their feud, it took a few months off. It's now back. Hangman doesn't have to worry about a world championship. Swerve doesn't have to worry about a world championship. They both want to right a wrong. Swerve wants to right the wrong of him losing that world championship in the main event of Wembley. Hangman wants to right the wrong of Swerve going into his house. Swerve challenges him to the steel cage match, the lights out steel cage match that we're getting it all out, and asks him, what kind of man are you going to be in that cage? Are you going to be the Hangman of old? Or are you going to be that vicious Hangman that's willing to kill? And we learn that back in the day, when Hangman had taken time off, Swerve actually drove to his house and watched Hangman escort his wife down the stairs to go to the hospital because she was ready to give birth. That's the man that Hangman Page was supposed to be. Swerve is focused on winning that world championship, and it's going to happen again. But why do you feel the need to keep worrying about me? We're done. But we're going to have this match, and I'm going to beat the hell out of you. Which leads us to last night's Dynamite. The climax, the ultimate climax of this feud. Swerve, earlier in the day, put out a video that he bought his childhood home back, since he signed a contract extension, much like Hangman had signed his contract extension a year ago. I bought my childhood home back for my future family and my kids, and the kids' kids. Eamon texted me, my cousin, and he goes, yeah, that house is totally getting burnt down tonight. And what happened? Hangman goes to the house, much like Swerve went to Hangman's. Hangman's got the gasoline, puts it a little bit all over the place, a little all over the house. Lights a match, sits down in his chair out front, burns the house down. And we got one of the coldest shots I've ever seen in wrestling. Swerve foaming at the mouth in the ring. Hangman sitting there drinking all of his worries away, knowing that he just took away something that meant the world to Swerve. I'm not sure how this is going to go. Do you have Hangman finally get the win? Or do you have Swerve beat Hangman once again, leading to another type of match? I don't know what other stipulation they can do when All Out 2024 happens. We're just going to have to wait and see. I've been your host, Nick Pearl, and I am excited. I am very excited to watch this all go down. Thank you all for reliving history with me for the last year. Let's see who dies. Well, let's keep rambling, everybody. I'll catch you on the next one.